two who have donated to our Walk Like Mad event. It's the 10th anniversary. Actually, it's on April 29th down here in South Florida. Remembering, inspiring, and committing to a future of no more victims of drunk driving, folks. It's just literally a senseless crime. And it leaves a lot of devastated people in its wake. So once again, folks, thank you for your donate. My goal was 10 grand. We're up to 15,673. I put it up to 20 grand because of you guys. And again, I am humbled by your generosity. Had a bad weekly options trade last week. I put on a bull put spread this time last week, thinking that when this guy sits there and says, hey, huge, nobody does huge missiles better than me flying into Syria right now. You better believe it, Russia coming. And then he doesn't. And then he waits to the weekend to do it. So that was my fault. Put a bull put spread on volatility last week, taking this guy at his word. Some behind-the-scenes stuff that I know, since some friends are talking to me again after being quiet all week, who work up north in a big building. He was going to go, but literally there was conflicting intel about who did it. And you really have to ask the question. So a week ago, the guy's like, let's get out of Syria. Nobody leaves Syria better than me. Huge, let's leave. And then all of a sudden, in a year, it hasn't been done in a year, Syria decides to go gas some of their own people. Don't know, man. We can talk conspiracy theories on June 30th. Matter of fact, which is our next in-person event down here in Boca Raton in God's waiting room. But I don't know. We're going to have to talk about that. Short story long is, and I just sent out an alert on this, the text alert, oil going through the roof, ExxonMobil. Nice iron condors for a long time until they're not. And this is the worst part about an iron condor. A gap move is one thing through like a bear call spread here, but a slowly climbing one is even worse. It's that boiled frog syndrome. So let's just sit here and hang on to our Jan 20 long call diagonal and let that thing print money as ExxonMobil gets back on the horse here. So no front month upside calls or bear call spreads. If anything, just bull put spreads on the way up. And I think we got earnings coming up here, April 27th. So looking forward to that. So as opposed to last week, JP Morgan, folks, I don't think if you understand this, the biggest or the best earnings in the history of the company. The company's what, 100 years, however many years old. It's been around. Best earnings ever. Stock sold off on the news. So here's the headline today when the market's up. It's funny that the financial media try to find the narrative to fit what's going on in the market. It's just it's comical sometimes. So yeah, strong earnings are rolling off the flight deck here, but apparently that didn't help last week. This is going to be interesting. The Supreme Court's weighing widening states' reach on online sales taxes, right? Local, smaller vendors, folks. This is, obviously Donald Trump hates Jeff Bezos. He doesn't hate Amazon. As a matter of fact, he's a businessman. He loves stuff like that. I'm sure he's thrilled with Amazon, but he's not thrilled now that he's the president with them. Short story long, Supreme Court slaps this on and starts giving local folks the right to tax stuff, even if they don't have a physical presence in that city or state, is going to be big. And I guarantee you in the background right now, Jeff Bezos is talking about building his own FedEx or UPS. More on that. The altimeter, the barometer that we have always got to be looking at is volatility. And unless you're a political science knuckle-dragging guy like me, anybody see a trend here? I got to get rid of that because it's trending even lower. So, there's our we're all going to die high with the short vol trade, and then here's where we are today. We're in the mid-teens, right? I said the resting heart rate for the past 2.5 months, 3 months has been what? Right around 1920. Now we're starting to get below our old our old new resting heart rate. Are we going to get back down to the 9-10 days where just absolutely nothing's happened? Well, look at this. VIX speculators have never been longer. So shortly after the collapse of the short vol trade in February, VIX speculators were ripped into an unprecedented long position that vol is going to go higher. So it's this buy the dip has reached volatility markets. I wouldn't step in right here, folks. We're going to talk today at 1 o'clock. Well, deeper tomorrow in the primary live trade brief at 1 o'clock about what's going on with vol here and when actually to get long. Because, folks, the world still sucks. Syria is still Syria. It's funny how Putin said he'd shoot all of our missiles down. He didn't hit one of them, and he said there's going to, what was his recent quote? There'll be hell to pay if you try and do something again. Whatever the hell he said. So he sounds like Obama. I strenuously object to you shooting missiles in here. Facebook, it's over with, folks. At least 10% of Facebook users deleted their accounts over the data privacy scandal. And guess what? There's a lot of funds that are starting to bail out of Facebook, right? Hey, I'm a tech fund. I have to have this beauty in it. No, you don't. The stock is dead money. Whenever you see a CEO come out and say, our profitability is going to be significantly impacted as a result of all this stuff, believe them, okay? Don't get in there as a lottery ticket. Believe them. The all clear has not sounded. Big banks post strong results, but investors want more. I predicted this was a potential that could happen, that we could sell on the news. I said Q1 earnings for the longest time are going to blow the doors off of it. And then in the past 2 to 3 weeks, I said what? Getting a little worried that we put the net up too high. Right? The old Wall Streetism is if you can't hit the ball over the net, lower the net. Well, this was oh my God, the net is a wall, and we couldn't even hit it over that. So great results. I love JP Morgan for the long term, a Jan 20 obviously position, but that ain't a good looking chart after earnings. So we need Jerome Powell and the Fed to start tightening and getting back on their what they should be doing. I saw, who was it? Not Rosengren, whoever the Boston Fed chief is last week said something like, I think we're way behind schedule. We need to start boosting interest rates and maybe a couple basis points, not just this incremental. We need to catch this thing now, which would shock the markets, but it would be good for our financial positions. National Association of Home Builders Index, that was a little soft. And the Empire Fed was definitely imploded from 19.8 forecast, 22.5 last time, 15.8. So we're seeing some kind of brown shoots here, folks. We'll get building permits, housing starts, and the cap rate on Tuesday. Anything else big? The Beige Book. We get Dudley speaking and a couple other Fed lieutenants throughout the week. The Philly Fed, and then kind of a quiet Friday. A lot of Fed lieutenants speaking this week, so we'll see if they have anything interesting to say. Bottom line, folks, as I said, we predicted this, the chop through the 50. And then here's the Zuckerberg tech wreck, and also, oh my God, there's a such thing as a trade war. Anybody hear about the trade war recently? Nope. Seems like for days in a row, Larry Kudlow was out there trying to calm Wall Street. Said we'd hold the 200-day moving average, and then we would do a gentle grind higher to what? To the 50-day. This is going to turn into resistance, folks. Look at these snaps through the 50-day, these last two times. This thing is just kind of climbing a wall of worry. So we'll talk in weekly options about a potential trade, but right there at the 50-day moving average, maybe about 5% above it. Might be time actually for a bear call spread. And I know you shouldn't try to put a cap on a trending market, but when these technical indicators start revealing themselves, it's a potentially good trade. But we'll talk about that in a little bit here at 1 o'clock for my weekly options members. The rest of you, we have it's called Options Weapon School launch starting next Monday. So make sure you keep an eye on your email for that because we have a lot to talk about. Okay. So have a great rest of your day. Happy hunting. Make sure you hedge, and God bless.